the main screen. I just had a parcel come as well just now. So I'm going to open that in a minute. Could do a live unboxing if you want. I think I know where it is, but so let's do just sort of stream out in the live control. Right, A Shooting UK. I'm just going to quickly sort the settings out, and then I might give it a custom name. Don't know. We'll see if people come on. But did you see Starmer's rent boys have been found guilty of arsoning his back door, or whatever it was? So yeah, there we go. I'll cover up my address there. I've got a parcel come. I think it's Velo stuff that's going. It says verify you're 18. I don't think the delivery driver did. But let's see. Some of you were recommending this. Oh, it is. Oh no, maybe it's not. I'm not sure. I've already ripped that bit off the box. That's strictly coming. Ah, yeah. So it's my Velo look. So there we go. Got some of these to try because some of you recommended it to me. So I got a free sample one. I think that's that one. Is it that one? The strength thing is, I assume, the number on the left. Oh no, that's the sample can. So sample can not for sale. So that's a sample can. So the other one's a sample can then. No, those are normal ones. Mind you, they've only just labelled one of them as a sample can. So that's the same weak sort of thing. Is that the same? They're all the same size anyway, aren't they? Even the actually, the sample can's built a bit different. Yeah, none of the other ones have the sample can type thing on. Oh well. So I guess the strength is, oh yeah, because that's also berry flavoured, that one. That's going to be the strength thing, isn't it? There. So right. Let's try the weakest ones first because I've never tried these before. Should we try the sample one first? Now I think you just meant to put these in your gum, aren't you? Right, how do we open it? It says open underneath, but I can't see anything. But yeah, hopefully we get some people on. So yeah, the rent boys have been found guilty of arsoning Starmer's back door. So now we'll see pouch under your lip. Does this have a thing that you have to rub or like twist off? Yeah, where's the actual seal I need to rip then to get this open? Maybe it's the entire label that goes around the outside. There we go. So yeah, they are literally just like paper pouches, those things. So yeah, let's put one up there, see if it does any good. You enjoyed the Fallout Starmer stream, did you? That's right-wing thuggery, that is. Yeah, so that's obviously going to be the weakest one, I'd assume. The trial one. But yeah, so hopefully I don't sound like I'm talking too stupidly with that wedged in my gum. I wonder if I can just push it back a bit more. There we go. Might be a bit better like that. That's how I did nicotine lozenge, things like that. So yeah, anyway, so we can talk about whatever. So Starmer's rent boys, they've been found guilty of arson. To read out the news on it. Russia was behind arson attack. Of course it was, target 6 PM, BBC reveals. Oh, and they were also blaming the far-right and Muslim groups for it. What about it? So, even after he set fire to Keir Starmer's house, Roman Lavrinovich convicted on Monday of conspiring to commit arson seem to be know as much about the Prime Minister as a bullet knows about its target. Alright, somebody being weird in the chat, so I'll get rid of that person. Sometimes it doesn't take them long to come on. Yeah, Mondani says they like a bit of arse on. Yeah. It says the 22-year-old Ukrainian builder. He wasn't a builder, he was a rent boy. The BBC is already sowing misinformation in this article. Oh, have you know he was a male model? So, yeah. So BBC is claiming it was the Russians behind it. So, yeah. But yeah, so the official line is Putin did it. It was all Putin's fault. I've not seen the video, so I don't know. Yeah, I gotta take that out for now. Doing those not on stream, because I'm not used to those. That was one of those velo pouches that people had recommended me. Well, I was on about the Starmer arson thing. You know, his rent boy trial that had nothing to do with young male models who appear shirtless in pictures, who you pay to give you a backdoor going, or you give their backdoors a good going. So D-Money says, yo, I saw your German Schum's gas mask video. So I was wondering if you know how to clean a Soviet Schum's gas mask. Like you clean all masks, take the filter off of it, put it in a tub of hot water, not boiling, with a bit of soap in it. That's all you need to do. It's natural latex, so it cleans very easily. But yeah, I'll have to watch it. I think I saw a bit of the tanker video on the news. But, yeah, that's making me cough a bit now. So, yeah. I saw a bit of the tanker video on the news, but I don't actually know, you know, how legit it is. Again, I think they did take the tanker, so it's probably not really staged, unless they shot some, like, training film and then said it was the real raid. But France has done a load of these so far, so it doesn't really surprise me they've done it. Because Starmer got shitloads of criticism last time. Because he was like, yeah, we won't allow the Russian tankers to go through our waters, and he literally let some go straight through the channel without intercepting them, like right after he said he'd intercept them. So it's probably, oh, look bad again, quick, send in the boys. I have to pretend that the military can function, where I'm not giving them any money, because I have to give it to the boat migrants. But yeah, he can stop an oil tanker, but not a dinghy, as people keep saying. Yeah, all right, Guna, I just tried one of these, and I have to get used to using these, so I found it a bit strong. I think the problem was because I kept trying to talk while I had it in my mouth. And it was making my throat go a bit dry because of that. But loads of people recommended me these. Velo pouch, how to use. I think I did use it right. I think I just meant to, like, tuck them into your gum there. Says I pull it in the gum. Yeah, it says you're meant to use it for 20 to 30 minutes, so I definitely didn't get a full blast of that one. But like I said, I probably ought to put it about there. Oh, they're saying to do it under the bottom lip as well. Or some, I don't know if it's meant to be bottom lip or top lip, I don't know. Yeah, but it wasn't meant to be a military boat, that's the thing. It was just meant to be like a regular oil tanker, you know, a civilian oil tanker. Well, the Bill Gates was like, you have to get me the thing, Jeffrey, to get rid of my. How do I tell my wife that I'd given her syphilis, or whatever it was, or an STD? Yeah, that's quite old news now. But I wasn't shocked, to be honest. But yeah, that's the thing. No, those ships they're boarding aren't military ones, because last time they had a military escort, they didn't do it. These are like civilian tankers. But yeah, so it's more like police basically raiding your house with these sort of things. You know, they might expect one or two people to have guns at most, but yeah, exactly. That's the thing they do, Mondani. All right, Kevin. I just tried one of these and wasn't used to it, even though that was the sample one that was the weakest thing. So, no, I'm not from Wiltshire. But yeah, so I'll have to get used to using these. I think, yeah, I'll try it the same way I do the nicotine lozenges or whatever they're called. Yeah, they smell quite nice though. But yeah, these are those things people recommended me rather than the nicotine little How can't there be anyone on board? There has to be people on board if it's a ship, unless it's a ghost ship. But yeah, that's the thing, Mondani. That's the whole thing with like Grey Fleet or Shadow Fleets or whatever you want to call them, where they keep changing the registrations and that to throw people off. Russia's been doing this for quite a while. A lot of countries do it, but it's to avoid sanctions, basically. But yeah, I haven't watched the footage, but I know a load of people said the footage sounded a bit sus. Because I know with some of those things, like I said, I know of a load of these things, what was I going to say, that like sometimes they just use stock footage of the stuff they claim is like them raiding stuff, whatever. I'm not from Somerset, but I'll get rid of you, Glenn, because I don't like it where people say, oh, are you here, are you there? Like you're trying to work out where I live. It's pretty fucking creepy. So bye. So you were wondering, WWG was saying about if the Avon Red lens outserts have an export restriction from the UK. The 3D printed ones people do themselves won't. The proper Avon ones, I don't know. They can't fit the S10 or vice versa. But yeah, in theory they shouldn't be, but it wouldn't surprise me if you tried to send them out if some person's like, oh no, ITAR. I know actually, though, saying that the C50 outserts, when I bought those, I had to sign a thing that said I wouldn't send them outside the country when I bought them, because it would be in violation of that sort of stuff. So it's possible they might be, I don't know. But the thing is, so many countries use the FM12 at this point. I doubt outserts for them are exactly sort of restricted stuff. Is that like the actual tobacco, Kevin, or because like the actual proper snuff stuff I've never seen in the UK. No, as far as I'm aware, it was just a Shadow Fleet oil tanker. If you're on about that Russian ship, because again, that's what nearly all of them have been, where Russia's trying to sell oil and getting around like embargoes. So the whole thing is that you're not allowed to basically say the ship's from somewhere it isn't. And normally, I think most people don't give a shit on it, but Stalin has been guilt tripped into going after them because the French were showing us up. Oh, we're getting some weirdos on again today. So yeah, unfortunately today, for whatever reason, I suppose actually I can do the thing on here, can't I? So let's put the thing on customization. Only subscribers can chat who have been on for 1 day. There we go. That normally gets rid of most of them, because most of them don't bother to sub. Yeah, again, like I said, because you have chewing tobacco, don't you? And you had like snus, but weirdly, I don't think snus was ever allowed in the UK, even though these are essentially snus just without tobacco. It's like, so again, I think these are just basically like the nicotine lozenges things I have, like the ones that you're meant to have for quitting smoking. Where were they? I had them on my desk earlier. It's because I moved shit around on there and it's a fucking mess. So, oh, I had those earlier, they're gone. Oh, there they are, underneath the book. Yeah, so, like I said, in theory, you could have them as the same strength as these, and I think you're meant to use them in a similar way, except for these fully dissolve, and I think they're designed to take a lot longer to dissolve. Because, again, they always say these are for quitting smoking, these are for people that actually like having the nicotine and don't want to wean off of it. But I use these like I'm just smoking. Again, I like having them in while I'm doing stuff as a like concentration aid. But like I said, the problem was as I was trying to talk, because I wasn't used to how those sort of release the thing, it kept making my throat a bit like if you take a big puff on a vape, or like you know, a bit like when you take a load of weed and it makes you cough, like that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it's just because I'm not used to them, so I have to get used to that. But I'll start off on the weakest ones and then work my way up. That's my style. Yeah, the problem with vapes is I think the reason these are becoming more popular in the UK, things like this, is because so many places now have basically made vaping the same as smoking, as in you can't do it anywhere on their premises or whatever else. So where vaping was originally what people did instead of smoking, the problem is now, like, a lot of people have to use things like that or the nicotine chewing gum or whatever because they're not allowed to vape. When I used to work in a thing, people would go into the chemical cupboard I had the key for with my permission. Again, I don't work there anymore, so I don't give a shit. People I knew who were all right, I'd open the Kosh cupboard for them with like the extractor fan in there for all the chemicals, and they'd vape a bit. Again, they didn't have like a lit match or whatever, and they'd blow the vape, you know, stuff into the air out the extractor fan. Oh well, I don't really care, Blades Military. Like I said, never really needed dental stuff. Everything's bad for you in a way. You know, so I'm sure my gum line is receding like my hairline anyway. Like, I know all this stuff is bad for you, but, you know, it's... Mondani anyway says, some still on sale, so Snuffle is unavailable, and I'm totally missed the boat on the whole white packet Zin stuff. Yeah, so this stuff's called Velo, I think, but there's loads of similar brands. But I've seen loads of people who used to vape have them on their desks sometimes when they're talking on video. Yeah, exactly. That was the problem where we worked. The company would be really anal about you going out, you know, for a smoke break or whatever, if you weren't using it as break time kind of stuff. So a lot of the people on my department would do the thing that, you know, they knew that there were no security cameras in the cupboard. I think it's where other people sometimes had a hip flask in there and did that in the chemical cupboard before going back to work. But you had to know the Kosh person to be allowed in the chemical cupboard, lad. You know, no bumming in the chemical cupboard. It was just for people misusing substances at work. But yeah, like I said, that's the problem. Like with vaping and stuff like that, is that so many places now have got so anal with the rules on vaping that people were like, well, I might as well just smoke then. So I can understand like the appeal of those sort of things. But I just like, yeah, again, I like the idea of something that just doesn't make any vapor or whatever that I can just sort of have in my mouth and spit out when I'm done with it. Like I said, I have to try one of those under the gum, maybe under that bit of my gum. I just want it, yeah, like, because where I did that right at the back, I think that's the problem, because it was so close to the back of my throat that it was irritating the back of my throat. Because again, I've sometimes taken like 2 or 3 of these in my mouth at once. So that would be like 12 mg of nicotine, which is more than is in those. But yeah, it's probably just, like I said, I need to get used to using those things. But anyway, it was the sample pack I was, the one I got for free, that I was fucking about with. So, oh, I see. So there's 15 pouches in the main ones, is there? Oh, and it's 20 pouches of the strongest ones. But yeah, the sample pack was 10 of a, only 10 pouches in the sample pack. But like I said, I'll start off and use up the sample pack. It's a different flavour as well, that one. So what's this one? Ruby Berry. The other ones I got were like menthol ones, because I like menthol normally for that sort of thing. Anyway, so yeah, Starmer's Rent Boys. So as we said, they're now blaming on Russia. I'll read the article out in the Russia or in the Starmer voice. Russia was behind arson attacks targeting PM, BBC reveals. Even after he set fire to Sir Keir Starmer's house, Roman Lavrivonovich, convicted on Monday of conspiring to commit arson, seemed to know as much about the Prime Minister as a bullet knows about its target. His anonymous handler, known as by the initials EAL, gave a clue in a message. Look, you've attacked the home of a very high-ranking person in Britain. I'll send you money. You need to leave this city. It was too late. Lavrivonovich was arrested within hours. The 22-year-old Ukrainian builder, again, he's a builder now. According to the BBC, he's a builder, not a shirtless male model. That's funny, isn't it? I'm just saying, it's funny that the BBC, when they're writing up, is completely blaming this on Putin. And these were totally just like Ukrainian tradesmen that were blackmailed into it or whatever. It had nothing to do with male models. I mean, Russia probably do want somebody in power, but I mean, Russia probably wants a stooge most of all in power. But Starmer is actually quite good for Putin in a way in power, because Starmer's like, oh, I can't give the British Army any money. No, it has to go to the migrants. Because if I was trying to sabotage Britain, I would want somebody like Starmer in power. No, I have not tried him that. I have not tried that one, Blades Military. Again, I probably wouldn't. I've had that with a nicotine pouch before. When I first went off of tobacco, I tried nicotine pouches. And that was the problem with them. It's like I felt fine for like the first bit, but after a while, it was obviously building up more than I was used to. So yeah, I felt like really sick and sweaty, like I'd exactly the same thing as if you like get a nicotine overdose from, you know, like smoking too much. So yeah, I wouldn't do that on purpose. Yeah, Ukrainian tradesman. I did do a pre-prepared audio thing earlier for you, which is not going to be too good for you to hear on here, but I think we should play it. I think you lads will enjoy it. So let me just find it for you. So I need to go to my Starmer folder, and I prepared a statement he made. I think it's this one. I just need to up the volume a bit so you can hopefully hear it.
My fellow Brits, good afternoon. I stand before you today as a man of principle, a man of integrity, and most importantly, a man whose back door has been officially declared a crime scene. Let me address the verdict directly. The court has found those Ukrainian gentlemen guilty of arson. I welcome the decision. Justice has been served. Their fiery assault on my rear entrance was unacceptable, and I condemn their actions in the strongest possible terms. However, let me be crystal clear, as I have been from the very beginning.
I don't know why you can hear that. That's the problem.
I repeat, nothing to do with gay sex. These were not red boys. They were highly trained operatives, professionals with very large invoices.
Yes, yes, they may have entered through my back door on multiple occasions that evening, but that was simply the most discreet access point when the front was locked for security reasons. Anyone suggesting they were there to give my rear end a proper seeing to is peddling disgusting homophobic conspiracy theories. The truth remains simple. This was Putin, Vladimir Putin. That bare-chested horseback-riding menace has once again thrust his long meddling influence into British affairs. He sent those Ukrainian gentlemen, who were merely delivering traditional Eastern European hospitality in the form of several large flaming shafts, straight to my back passage.
Why? I won't play the whole thing now. I might stick that just up on my Patreon so people can listen to those, because I don't know if YouTube would like these just as videos. Left or right wing? I'm actually quite centrist and boring, but so I'd say I'm economically left in a sense, as in I like the idea in some ways of social security nets, but I'm society-wise I'm quite right-wing, as in I like nation states, I like, you know, tradition and stuff like that. Yes, they kept coming back in and out of my back entrance. You should have seen a back door. It was completely arsoned. Yeah. Yeah, so I think with like this, even before all this Putin shit, he's claimed on it now. I'm like, oh, of course they're going to say it's Putin. I'm sure he didn't say to Zelensky in any way at all. Zelensky, when I give you my next load of money and some more British arms, can you arrange for some young, attractive Ukrainian men to come and service me? I'm sure that was not a conversation that was had at all. And I'm sure that if he did have those sort of services, he paid them properly and they wouldn't have got angry about it and then targeted him for that reason. I'm sure that's completely made up far right, you know, shit. But like I said, the thing with politics on here is if people are polite enough, I don't mind discussing a lot of the stuff with them. But the issue is obviously sometimes you get the really, really weird people on here that want to start an argument because, oh, you're not 100% politically aligned with me, therefore I need to start arguments. Oh, now we have identified evidence suggesting that L, this is L Money, apparently the Russian that hired them, is a young Russian diplomat. Oh, it's a young Russian diplomat, is it? Just my type. Schooled in information warfare by spies and propagandists, who is close to the highest levels of power in Moscow. His name is Evgeny Lyushukin. He's 23 and the son of a senior official. This is very, 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 very good for Starmer, isn't it? It's totally, yeah, hell, exactly as Kevin Murphy says, hell hath no fury like a rent boy scorned, Mr. Prime Minister. Accounts based in Russia posted lies about the motive for the arson attack, targeting Starmer, which was spread by figures such as the far-right anti-Islam activist Tommy Robinson. What? So, yeah, again, they're saying it's far-right to say it might have been that Starmer enjoyed the company of young men. I'm not going to even read all this, but apparently this is war. This is war. They're conducting war against the nation because they violated my back door. Again, like I said, I'm again that they've got some graffiti that says "Stop Islam" on the building, and they're saying this is proof it's a right-wing conspiracy theory or something. Yeah, that sounds like a good thing. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the chat, but that sounds like good advice there, Blades Military. So if you want to protect guns from seeing up it in the same place every day, swap to cider guns different days, don't use bottom gun, increase the salivation, harsher nick, release unless... Okay, so what, like the top gun and then do it like there one day, there one day, there one day. Yeah, as I get more used to it sort of thing. Makes sense, yeah. I could actually look in my mouth where there's the most thing. The thing is, like I said, with the nicotine lozenge things, these things, I normally always use my bottom guns for these, though. I normally do it at like the very back left or the very back right. But yeah, I know these are different things, but yes. So yes, with my statement, it was definitely Vladimir Putin that violated my back door. Andy says he's flashing on the gaydar big style. Is that Kia or me? I hope you're on about Kia. Yeah. Keir Starmer frantically spray-painted "Stop Islam" before the firefighters got there. Quick, we have to blame the far right. Maybe put up a Russian flag. Can't. Oh, Keir, thank you. Yeah, I certainly agree with you, Keir. Again, there's a point that people keep making with Keir. Like, again, I wouldn't actually care if the Prime Minister was gay, right, if he was a good Prime Minister. But the problem with Keir, a lot of people get the impression he's, like, very closeted, and it's sort of like a way that he could be blackmailed. Yeah, exactly, Ibuki, enjoy it. It's the exact problem of The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where when everything is far right or a Nazi or whatever else, the words lose meaning. And like where everything is racist, I'm apparently like KKK Grand Wizard levels of racist, according to the left-wing people. So the words lost all meaning, because people who are genuinely racist actually enjoy the fact they're racist. Everybody else, it used to be a thing like, don't disagree with us or we'll call you racist. And now it's like, okay, call me racist, I don't give a shit anymore, you know. Yeah, that's far-right fuggery. Let me be perfectly queer, said the Prime Minister. Oh dear, you can't make this stuff up, can you? But he's never going to resign. Yeah, and Andy says he walks like there is something in his bum. And don't forget, Andy, he also, or Addy, sorry, yeah, so A and Y, sorry, yeah. Don't forget, he also said, release the sausages. Oh, I mean, release the hostages. Yeah, and cider gum the molars too allows gum to repair themselves and intermittently prevent receding. Yeah. Right, cheers, Blade Military, appreciate it. Yeah, again, it's either people LARPing as the KKK or, like you said, 6 hillbillies in a shed. Like, all these things, it's like, I don't think there are generally that many neo-Nazis. Like, again, I think most accounts that share Hitler memes are doing it to be edgy or because they find it's funny or whatever. They're not doing it because they actually like Hitler. But, you know, it's one of those things where the lefties like... Because I saw somebody did a picture earlier with the social media ban where they, like, you know, Photoshop Keir's head onto Hitler, like, standing at the podium. And they said, you know, like, the dictator of the UK or whatever. And somebody's like, oh, my God, you racist Nazis. Like, I don't think that's pro-Nazi propaganda. I think he's having a go at Keir, comparing him to Hitler. I don't think it was wow, isn't Keir great? He's like the Fuhrer. I don't think that's what the guy was getting at who made that post. But, you know, right-wing fuggery. So, yeah, what else have we had in the news today? Oh, yeah, they've got a bit on here. A Russian diplomat accused of ordering Starmer firebomb attack. 2 Ukrainian men found guilty after a car and property owned by the Prime Minister was set alight. 23-year-old Russian diplomat has been accused of ordering the firebombing of Keir Starmer's house. 2 Ukrainian-born men, Roman Lavrinovich, 22, and Stanislav Karpiuk or something, 27, convicted of conspiring to commit arson over a string of attacks at the Old Bailey on Monday. The trial heard they were recruited to carry out the arsons by a Russian-speaking figure called Al Money on Telegram. El Money sounds more like he's like a member of the cartel. On Telegram, offered payments to the attacks. According to the BBC, Al Money is alleged to be Evgeny Lyukshin, whatever, Russian diplomat, blah, blah, blah. Did they mention the rent boy angle on here? Oh, some security sources also detect Russian handiwork in the conspiracy around the case that has spread rampantly online. That defendants, young aspiring models, were in fact aggrieved rent boys who had torched Keir Starmer's home because they had not been paid. The spurious claims stretch credulity and are not borne out by the evidence presented in court, but the conspiracy has been promulgated far and wide online. Because it's funny, and it seems to me it's the Occam's razor thing. Like, did the Russians go, we know where the Prime Minister lives, I give you some money, you torch his back door and his car? Or was it, oh, that Keir, he's not paid us, let's go burn his back door in, sunshine? And let me go back to what you're saying, sorry. So Mondani says the US had that anti-racism charity that donated 100,000 to people like the KKK, Alex Jones, to their agenda of existing. The demand for racism is higher than the supply. I've heard that before. So they fund it themselves. 7 poverty laws on it. Yeah, I've heard them. And is it the National Advancement for something of coloured people, the NAACP or something? They're both a bit crooked, aren't they? Because again, hope not hate we have in Britain are dodgy as fuck. Some of these like stand up to racism groups we have in the UK. They are also fucking dodgy as anything. You know, like where the funding comes from, what politicians they're connected to, you know, where they almost do stuff to then keep giving themselves reasons to exist. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he had a ring of fire. Oh, yeah. Oh, it burns at my back door, said the Prime Minister. Yeah, they caught the itch off him. I don't know. I just find this funny. Blaze Militaria said, UFC fights held on White House lawn authorized by Trump. Many world-class mixed martial artists there. Fighter shouted Michelle Obama is a man with a mic after winning fight, and nearly everybody cheered. Again, sounds funny. Like it to me, stuff like that isn't the thing where I that's not the stuff I dislike about Trump. The stuff I dislike about Trump is it just seems like a lot of the shit he's done in his second term wasn't stuff people voted for. It's like, I'm just going to suddenly do a load of tariffs, and then it's going to magically make my economy good, and I'll start some wars. And Kevin says, interestingly enough, if you read old accounts of Moustache Man's Night of the Long Knives, there was a few Starmer-type party members found in bed with rent boys, and they got arrested. What, like Ernst Röhm? Ernst Röhm was pretty well known as being, you know, gay. Again, that's the funny thing. Like, with people like the Nazis, they originally had no problem with gays until they had to conveniently get rid of the SA. And then, it is because they were homosexuals. It is not the pure German thing. You know. I'm trying to view a message. Michelle Big Mike Obama. Yeah, again, I don't know if I believe Michelle Obama's a man, just like I don't believe necessarily Brigitte Macron's a man. I don't really care about any of that stuff, but I find it funny. Oh, but the SA could actually beat people up though, Kevin. That's the thing. Like Ernst Röhm and that, they enjoyed a bit of street fighting and stuff like that. You seen Starmer punching that punching bag? He certainly couldn't do a bit of street fighting. You know, I mean, I'm sure he liked all the men in the Lederhosen and stuff like that, but You'd be like, oh, far right thugs. Oh. If I ever showed you guys the gay Nazi sketch from Harry and Paul, that's great. Again, it's on YouTube. I'll have to link some people to it afterwards. But if you ever search on YouTube Harry and Paul gay Nazis, that's a pretty damn good comedy thing about how the Nazis are actually just really, really camp gay guys with big butch blonde boys all marching past with their shirts off, and I can go, ooh, ooh, on my big podium. And I've got this plane called the Stuka, right? And you know how most planes go, bombs away. Mine goes, ee! Yeah, it's really good. The Blazing Terror said it's the equivalent of holding a football match on Downing Street. The goalposts are either end of the street with number 10 in the middle, and saying, yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it? And then somebody's shouting that, like, so I'm trying to think. So there's Michelle. I'm trying to think of like David Cameron's wife is a man or something like that getting shouted out like by one of the people, yeah, because it's like the opposite political side, yeah. We call them Stukas. Oh, how's my pansy core? Yeah, not too camp. Oh, not the way you do it, my Führer. I'll have to link some people to that sketch. Again, a load of this old comedy stuff they couldn't do today because of all the woke people not understanding it's a fucking joke. It's a bit like and Mondani said, thug shaking is also a term for oiled up hood tier black men twerking. I did not know that. Is that a zesty buck, that one? A bit of buck breaking. It could be a pig in a dress, yes, yeah. Again, yeah. He's the one who allegedly fucked a dead pig, isn't he? David Cameron. So, again, they're all weird, like, Illuminati rituals, aren't there, with all these people? Again, I think all politicians in the mainstream are the same, that they all probably go to the same island and pizza parties, if you catch my drift, you know, where they're all in the same clubs. They just pretend they don't like each other, you know, for the show. But, you know, we'll let our blue candidate run against our red candidate. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other good, like the other one I like with classic stuff like that is especially because one of them, I think it was Robert Webb, ended up going really, really woke and pissing people off. But where there used to be the Mitchell and Webb look, like the sketch show. Have you seen the African Civil War sketch from that? Where they're like war reenactors getting fed up of doing the English Civil War over and over, so they decide to do like some Congo Civil War where they're all in blackface, like waving machetes at each other. Again, some of that stuff is great. And again, you're not actually laughing at it because you're like, oh, racism funny. It's just like how ridiculous some of the sketches are. But the problem is, like with woke people, you're not allowed to find anything funny like that now. Because it's just like, if you laughed at it, it's like, oh, you're racist because you laughed at somebody in blackface. Or you laughed because they had a foreign accent. But yeah, so yeah. I'm going to read the comments, though, on this article, because it's got comments enabled. The moderator must be getting sore fingers is the top comment. I'm going to upvote that one. Yeah, the moderator must be getting sore fingers from banning all the comments about the Rent Boys. All a bit suspicious. Russia wouldn't have out-of-date intelligence on Starmer. And somebody else going, are we seriously expected to believe that this is the whole story? To have justice for these bizarre, unexplained acts must comfort our glorious leader. Was there a plea deal, which means earlier assertions by the accused are forgotten and raised, not mentioned by prosecution or defence? That will see a sentencing. It's a pity these party boys are paying the toll. Ooh, Lady Victoria didn't like that. Maybe they'll squeal in prison and tell all. What was the motivation? So, was this the action of dubious associates of the PM or state-sponsored action in an attempt to discredit him? I'm no fan of Kia, but I'm inclined to believe the latter. Obvious details of property previously owned by Kia was used for the targeting. Let me sort by newest first, if I can, not top or most liked. So I can see the ones the mods haven't got rid of yet. I think, annoyingly, I think they fucked with this comment thread, so I can't see the newest comments. Social atmosphere, it's not too bad in my area, but the town I live near is weird because it's a university city, so it's not like one where the people there have anything to do with the local economy or anything, other than students using bars and that. But it's, yeah, one of those weird places where, because it's a studenty area, you have like, you know, like students that aren't really part of your actual community. So it's a weird city to live near. I'm just seeing if there's any more funny comments about these rent boys. Somebody saying this is a great day to read readers' comments. Bashing the shuttlecock from the feathered end, says one person. Somebody said it sounded more like a spit roast than us. Oh dear, yeah. I think that's the thing with all the comments on these, is everybody, even though they're like, oh, it's just, yeah, shut it down, says Kevin. But yeah, that's the funny thing with this. So while it's, you know, they're saying, oh, it's just some far-right people online saying this rent boy thing, it's like absolutely everybody in the comments is always saying that. That's like been the long-running joke with this thing. That it's like, it's the Occam's razor thing. Like, so what's more likely? Vladimir Putin got a Russian, like, diplomat to hire some Ukrainians to attack the former property of the prime minister, that all happened to be young male models that had grinder profiles and everything else, or that maybe Starmer hadn't paid them properly and they all wanted revenge over something. I think Starmer probably likes them a bit on the young side, Ibuki. I have to be careful what I say with that, because I don't want to have the stormtroopers round, but I think he likes them a bit young, if you catch my drift. Well, if you're all about that, that's a traffic warden that got beaten up a couple of years ago. But with that, apparently only one of the guys beating the shit out of him got any prison time for it, and it was like less than a year, despite the fact they were like kicking his head, and if he didn't have the crash helmet on, he'd probably be dead, or like have brain damage. But yeah, the problem is with that video is loads of people keep saying, oh, it's a cop being beaten up. It's not a cop, it's a traffic warden. And it's not the traffic warden from Fred's either, or else they'd all be dead. But no, it's just some traffic warden on like a moped going around, you know, ticketing cars, and then some youths in the vicinity played kickball with him. So, yeah. But again, there's all the politicians recently were getting butthurt on the like the Green Party ones about the Palestine Action ones that broke into that factory and broke a policewoman's spine with a sledgehammer. And they're like, oh, it's unfair, they're getting sent to prison. It's like, what? They fucking broke into a building, did criminal damage, and then hit a police officer in the spine with a sledgehammer. They're lucky they didn't get longer than what they got. Yeah, Kevin, that's like a couple of years old, that video, and it's a traffic warden, not a cop. Yeah, sadly, I can't have a Glock 19 for obvious reasons in the UK. I mean, as the country deteriorates, maybe more will be on the black market, but well, this is the thing. So one of the rent boys, sorry, they're not rent boys, I can't say that. One of these young gentlemen, the time Starmer would have had the property or the car, although he's over 18 now, this particular man would have been about 15 at the time. You know, that's the interesting thing. So if it wasn't that the Russians just had old intel, but maybe they'd been to that address before, some sort of party, that, you know, that lad might have been a bit underage at the time, if he was, you know, one of the ones involved. I'm just saying, just makes you think. again, that I think Dankler did a good video on this, like the 5th twink has hit the Prime Minister or whatever it was. But yes, why do all these twinks have something against Keir Starmer, I wonder? That's pretty cool. So what's the pros and cons of 10mm? Because I hear people talking about 10mm on a lot of like gun boards, but I've never really known what the appeal is. I'm assuming it's is it like just a fairly high velocity good round? Because I'm assuming 10mm is obviously got a bit more power than 9mm. How does it compare to like 45 and 9mm, for example? Is it just like a higher velocity, more energy round? Italian Firearms Company. Oh, I've got some Old Spice. Don't knock Old Spice too much. I've got some Brute and Old Spice in the thing. I never really wear it, but I don't mind the smell of Old Spice. Ah, cool. So it's just like a really hot pistol cartridge. So yeah, you can have it in like a semi-auto slide pistol, I guess, is the appeal of it, but it hits quite a lot harder. But I guess, like, if Brad's saying that, I guess it's one of those things where you have to know which companies make the good ammo. Yeah, again, but you people there, and there's somebody called the Arsenator on. Careful, Arsenator, Starmer might be after you. But yeah, so, like I said, at least you guys are giving me good explanations for it there, so you can still have a decent amount in a pistol magazine, and it does a decent amount of power. But yeah, the problem is a lot of the time you see people insulting each other on gun boards, like, oh, pussy 9mm user, I'm the Chad 10mm. It's like, no, you're overcompensating for your little dick there, mate. Don't know why they're talking like that if they're Americans of guns, but yeah, that's what really disappointed me when I saw some videos of the KS-23 Russian shotgun in use. Was just like how, shit the actual load was on a lot of the shotgun shells. Because if you don't know, the KS-23 is when they had like the 23mm anti-aircraft barrels that weren't well made enough for high-velocity 23mm ammunition. They cut them down and turned them into pump-action shotguns. So everybody's like, oh, wow, that's like a super high-ball shotgun. I bet it's really powerful. But sadly, it turns out most of the Soviet rounds like that were built for it were like less powerful than regular 12-ball rounds or 12-gauge rounds, in terms of like powder in the cartridge and stuff like that. Yeah, they're saying the problem in real life, from what I've seen, is that basically most of the rounds for it are basically just like, not much powder in a cartridge, with a lot of wadding in them or whatever. So they're actually like, you look at it and you think it's going to be a stupidly high power shotgun, and then Russia disappointing everyone. It's like, oh, comrade, I am sorry, we did not put much energy behind this shotgun round. But yeah, like I said, I think the KS-23 was actually in the first Black Ops, but I think it's only in the campaign and you never get it in the multiplayer. So I have a weird feeling it might have been in like the Gulag escape mission. Oh, cool. I'm glad that my stuff helped you. What did you use on it? Like silicone lubricant or just washing it or what? But yeah, I'm glad the information was useful, Maxim. But yeah, like I said, what did you do then to restore it? So Blaze Military just gave me some ballistic intel. I won't read all that out. I've read it. But yeah, again, the thing I like about 9mm, though, again, is just because it's been around for so long, is just how many guns are compatible with it. And again, with 9mm, you've got quite good mag capacity. AK-50 by Brandon Herrera. I've seen some of his videos. I saw the one where he made the thing explode. No, I've not watched that one yet. I saw the one where they had that really dodgy fucking 50 cal gun, and they blew that up, but the Chinese like ACOG ripoff or whatever it was survived. So that was kind of good advertising for the Chinese ACOG or Chinese Red Dot or whatever they had on it. I can't remember now, but I like the fact that they blew the gun up, but the Chinese site survived. They put on it. And I watched some of his ones about, I've obviously watched a load of his ones on the PM63 rack, because he's done videos on that. And again, rack, my beloved. And what were some of the other ones I like? Oh, I like his Darwin Awards ones. I don't know if he's ever showed this video. Have you ever seen the Darwin Award one where this Indian guy gets like a high power on 1911? I can't remember from the video. Cocks it, then just puts it there and pulls the trigger and kills himself. Or seriously injures himself. Like, what were you fucking expecting to happen? You load a gun up and you shoot yourself for fun with it. Like, it's not even like where people just fuck about with a loaded gun and, they have a negligent discharge. Yeah, too much Bollywood. Again, but they're good at doing it with the trains as well, I guess. So, let me look it up. Anyway, Danish M44. So, yeah, you're saying you mostly just heavily disinfected it. Was it just like black mold inside or whatever, or just like really grimy and horrible? Oh, that's a light anti-gas respirator. Ah, cool. Yeah. So that's... Yeah, because I had one of those that... Yeah, because again, the funny thing I had with my light anti-gas respirator is, yeah, similar thing. It was a British one, and you had all the original British production stamps on. And then, yeah, it had Danish stamps on after it, where obviously they were sold to Denmark as surplus after the war, and then they came back to the British surplus market. Oh, it's literally in the latest one, is it? 666, yeah, I'll have to watch that. What was the Stetchkin, sorry? I was on about PM63 rack earlier. Again, it's a similar machine pistol type thing. But the rack's quite cool because it's the one that has the full-on fucking slide, which is a bit weird because it comes back very close to your eye. It looks kind of like a knockoff MP7, but it predates the MP7. But I really like the rack. I've never been tear gas, Brad, because in the mainland UK, you can't get tear gas as a civilian, and the police are very, very rarely authorised to use it. They use it in Northern Ireland a lot more, but in the mainland UK, the chances you run into tear gas are very, very low, because, like I said, it's only people who go through military training who have like CS gas used on them, like mass confidence fitting and stuff like that. Or if you're Northern Ireland, and and then the cops are shooting tear gas at you. Bait them with what, Besco? Oh, message held for review. Hang on. Besco said, I saw a cop ready to mace a kid near McDonald's. I saw a video recently of two cops, like one lifting a little kid up by one arm, one like that, dragging off a 5-year-old. Yeah, Stechkins are the Russian, like, tankers automatic pistol, aren't they? Because, like I said, it's like the rack is like the Polish equivalent of the Scorpion or the Stechkin, It's a very compact little, because it unfolds. Again, the annoying thing is, I know where my rack is, it's over there. But because I'm on a live stream, I can't get out and be like, see, that you press this button and the little foregrip, it unfolds, and you pull out the, like, ratcheting stock, or whatever it's called, and unfold that little bit, and then you've got your, Oh, that's great, Maxim. Yeah, but like I said, so yeah, you've lucked out with your one then if it's got all the stamps on it, because sometimes some of the stamps have worn off or whatever. But yeah, so again, it's British surplus sold to Denmark that's still in good condition then, other than being a bit dirty. How's the rubber flexibility on it? Because the one I've got has really thick, unflexible rubber, but not like it's aged and it's unflexible. Like they just cut it out of really unflexible rubber. But the later light anti-gas respirators I tried all have quite flexible rubber. Oh, Alex says, did you see the definitely real video released by the mod of the Shadow Fleet vessel being boarded by UK? So everybody keeps telling me that it's a definitely real, totally not a staged video. I haven't watched it yet, I'll have to. But yeah, a load of people have kept saying that, like, it looks like even if they did really raid the vessel, like it's completely a, like a kill room kind of, like moon landing, not moon landing, again a bit harsh there, but, like we'll film something that isn't in real time with fancy camera angles and all this. But yeah, well, the Spanish said 70 is like a Tech 9 that's not downsized, isn't it? Again, to me, it looks like the Sterling, just with a mag coming out the bottom, not the side. The Saint says, use my FM12 on Saturday, had to take loads of pigeon nests off a roof and wore a complete disposable suit of 3 hours. I felt like passing out. Imagine how much worse it would have been if you're using a mask that wasn't the FM12. If you're using like a shitter quality mask that you couldn't breathe through as easily. Never played Modern Warfare 4, I don't think. I've only played the proper Modern Warfares, like up to 3, and Modern Warfare 1 is the only one I can remember properly. But Modern Warfare 2 has got the Russians invading Burger Town, I can kind of remember that. Oh, COD 4. Which mission's crew expendable? Oh, yeah. What, the one on the boat where the SAS go in? With, like, where Price puts on the S-10, then you land, and then there's the bomb in the cargo hold. Yeah, sorry, yeah. So, like, Modern Warfare 4, I don't think I played that, but yes. Yeah, I know where you are. That's kind of what it reminded me of. It didn't look as cool, though. Like, it wasn't as stormy. They weren't rappelling down and just blasting people. Weren't wearing S-10s. Wasn't as cool. Yeah, like I said, the best masks have the drainage port or like an XL valve right on the chin there. Because the best masks have it there because it actually means your sweat just keeps naturally coming out the bottom of the mask. But yeah, that's the problem with a lot of masks, even some really ones I really like, is often the XL valves are too high, so the masks don't drain well. So yeah, in reality, if I was to ever design a mask, I would actually have either one XL valve or a secondary XL valve right on the chin there. So any, sweat would actually drip out like that, or if you vomit in the mask or anything like that. Because yeah, that is a big problem with a lot of masks, that the XL valve is so high up that basically, yeah, sweat and things can't get out the mask, unless it really builds up, sort of thing. If you use a PAPR when you do that sort of thing, it would be a lot more pleasant because you have nice cold air blowing on your face the entire time. Well, the thing with the SAS is, I imagine if you are in the SAS now, you get to do some, black, wet work, like black site wet work style mission, that somebody like Starmer will try and prosecute you a few years later. Those poor terrorists you killed, that was thuggery, that's not allowed. How dare you execute the enemies of the state? Yes, the Chinese ones you can get off AliExpress aren't too bad. I did do a video and put an affiliate link to one of those. But the German PAPRs, I don't think you can get for less than like 200 quid, sadly. And like the C420s that a lot of people go for, like the military ones, like nearly 500 quid, I think. Yeah, that's one of the few things that is good about the OM90, you're right, is that the XL valve is literally right at the bottom on the chin. And same with the US M40, actually. Like, yeah, with the M40, the XL valve is literally there. Like I said, it'd kind of be better if it was there, like the OM90, but yeah, having it quite literally at one of the lowest points in the mask is a good design choice. It's going to be dark soon. They mostly come out at night. Mostly, yeah. Again, saying about Soviet masks, that is one of the few redeeming things of these style Soviet masks, is the XL valves are literally on the chin area as well. This one, this one has a really shit valve assembly on the, that wasn't a good example on the fucking, whatever you call this piece of shit, the Shum 2012. Again, the funny thing with the Shum 2012 is apparently the older gen ones were built a lot better, and then, like, Russia just kept cheapening them as time went on. But yeah, speaking of, so again, good XL valve placement on the Canadian C4 as well, because that's literally, again, like I said, lower chin section. So again, would drain out on the Canadian C4. But yeah, like I said, even the dirt cheap Soviet masks like this, the XL valve being there, and it literally is, if you look at the inside of these, it's like there where you're, right at the bottom there. That's a really good thing about these. Yeah, I saw the short little one where the editor of the David Attenborough voice has to explain about what Doctor Who is for like all the Americans or whatever that don't know. But yeah, there's a good old Doctor Who meme of like the Chad classic Doctor Who versus the Virgin, like, like, oh, I can't interfere with this, with the original Doctor Who's like, well, I can genocide an entire species if I want to. again, as like Mike was saying, old Doctor Who, like John Pertwee as well, he had like some sort of space karate thing where he just beat the shit out of people occasionally. Again, old Doctor Who is a lot more like old Star Trek, where it's like the budget isn't really there, so they had to make use of what they've got, but it's quite good in terms of sometimes the philosophical things they talk about. Some of the alien designs are quite cool. But yeah, like I said, it went from being all male doctors to then having a female Doctor Who and then a gay black doctor. And I think the guy is literally gay, so I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm like saying, like, they had a gay black man and then they kept having to woke-splain everything. Like, oh, you shit lords wouldn't understand this. You're a Time Lord, more like a shit lord. A shit lord. Oh, wow, you were almost there, Jay, and I sadly can't show your comment, even though I want to. He wasn't a midget black lesbian, but he went from being a man to a white woman to then a gay black man. I'm sure if they could carry on down that trend, he would have turned into a black trans lesbian midget, yeah. Yeah, apparently it was bought out by Disney, so what a surprise. Yeah, you've gone from the... Oh, and then, of course, old Doctor Who, there was a lot of fan service for the dads watching. So, you know, they often had quite attractive female companions for the Doctor. You know, I don't know if it was ever explained that the Doctor, probably shags them. But, you know, like, well, they didn't wear much, and they had big tits and nice asses, and they'd be bending over all the time to go reach for something. Yeah, you know, the old Doctor Who was great like that. Like I said, it's actually worth a watch, a lot of old Doctor Who. So I did do that post when people were asking me about the Genesis of the Daleks episode, like what gas masks and helmets and guns are in that episode. Put a chick in it, make it lame, yeah. Cartman. Yeah, Father Ted. Is Father Ted technically British though? Because again, is it Republic of Ireland technically, Doctor? Sorry, not Dr. Ted. Father Ted. I'm trying to actually work that out, Father Ted, because I know the guy who wrote it. Was it Graham Linehan, who's had a lot of problems now because he's not woke? Is I think Republic of Ireland. All right, Rajiv. But yeah, again, Mr. Bean's good. Blackadder's probably better than Mr. Bean in my opinion, Kevin, because like, you know, some of the Blackadder stuff actually is pretty good at the historical eras it's taking the piss out of. Yeah, Monty Python is also good. Again, like with all the Monty Python stuff, because it went on for quite a while, the films are good, and with the sketches, it's worth just watching some of the sketches on their own. Because again, I like the Hitler in the Bed and Breakfast one. Have you guys seen that one? Where it's Mr. Hilter in the Bed and Breakfast. That's a pretty good one. I have a question, Maxim, just ask. Don't say I have a question, you can just ask. I'll give people a link to my Patreon again, because some people have been signing up for that. You can sign up for free as well. So even if you don't want to give me money on Patreon, you can sign up for free and still see my posts as far as I'm aware. It's just if I do any members-only content, you won't get access to it. But yeah, I've already cashed out Patreon money. It's great. So with Patreon and like a YouTube donation, just to let people know, I can literally cash it out the same day. So if you donate on Patreon, just to let people know about this, that is the really good thing with Patreon, that I can get the money almost straight away. Well, the problem, like I said, with YouTube is if you donate this month, I don't get it till payday next month, how YouTube works with the payments. Again, I'm never going to say no to donations. If people want to donate, do it on any of the platforms I accept them on. But yeah, Patreon is a lot better now in terms of that. Is that the one where they all keep missing or whatever it is? The Soviet execution one. Open All Hours, Porridge, Britass Empire. Oh yeah, Britass Empire I might have to rewatch. I remember quite liking that one when I was younger. At the moment, you can own a compound hunting bow, and I've got a compound crossbow and a compound recurve bow. Well, not a compound recurve, just a compound, you know, bow you hold like that. You can, but I'm more imagine the government wants to get rid of them. I was on about the Harry and Paul sketch earlier before you came on, Saint, about the gay Nazis. Hi-oh! Oh, not too camp. Oh, and of course, the Nelson Mandela one that would really offend people he did. I am Nelson Mandela, and this is my thieving coat, whatever it is. And Crackerbiss and all the other Nelson yeah. Yeah, we were on about some of those earlier. Yeah, we were on about stuff you couldn't make today because of all the woke people. I mean, I think people should make it and then just say, suck it up. because I was on about regarding stuff like that, there was the sketch on Mitchell and Webb look, even though David Webb ended up going really woke, if I remember. Not David Webb, it's Robert Webb, isn't it? David Mitchell's the one that's still all right. But the one about the African Civil War, like, reenactment, where they were wearing blackface, and I am going to kill you with this big machete. Stop, it's racist. It's very, very racist. So Maxim says, how can I restore the metal loops on my M44 hold tension again? You might have to fully replace the strap, sadly. Is Monkey Dust the really fucking dark one, or am I thinking of something else? Like the one about like the plumber fixing the dead baby, or is that Jam or something that's from? I can't remember. And Blaze Mystery said, anyone seen... let me try and catch up the comments, sorry. So Jay says, I'm sure you have discussed Ray Hours the world. Are they going to keep someone that's 3043 going on YouTube? Well, we can ban the VPNs next. They will be banned by Kia. But in reality, they're basically just they're forcing absolutely everyone to do ID checks. But yeah, the funny thing is if you use a VPN, you can still get around it. But then they want to make it so you can't get VPNs without an age check. Because again, he's just doing his age check stuff, like the digital ID by the back door. Oh, that's a funny euphemism for Starmer, isn't it? By the back door again, going back to that. You know. Blazeman Terrier says, anyone seen vid of famous trans Russian YouTuber Vlad NCL looks like real woman pranks before randomly changing to man voice in Belfast the other day? Pranked Irish street fair, went wrong, got jawed. Probably not. Let me search what he looks like. Russian YouTuber Vlad NCL. No, not seen them. I mean, they're pretty passable. They look quite passable in the, you know. There you go. People are going to accuse me of being gay now. It's like, you know, you can pass. But some of those might have a load of filters or whatever on the thing. I can't remember the offensive pharmacist one. So again, I have to watch all of like the Harry and Paul and Harry Enfield stuff. Did somebody say about Alf Garnett somewhere in the thing? I think I missed that. Yeah, my dad was on about how much he liked Alf Garnett the other day. But again, I've seen people like, oh, I can't believe racists used to find Alf Garnett funny. You know, I saw that somewhere as well. But like my dad's like, oh, Alf Garnett's good old comedy. You know, again, lots of stuff I just have to rewatch. Probably full new set of straps, I'm afraid. Yeah, unless you can just find some way of like the little metal things that you kind of clamp on. Unless you can bend them maybe using some like pliers or something, like a multi-tool. Or put maybe a cable tie on just to keep it in place. I don't know. I don't think it is more organised. I think it's because this camera's higher up. So therefore you can't see the pile as high behind me. I have sold a couple of bits, but not as much as I want to yet. Also, there's loads of shit on the floor. So the stuff that's fallen off that pile when I got stuff down is because it's fallen on the floor. Therefore, you can't see it. It looks better. But it's more awkward when I'm carrying a cup of tea or coffee to my desk and I'm having to walk like I'm Indiana Jones, trying not to set off dart traps. You know, where I don't want to fucking fall over and break my ankle. Where I'm just sort of going, sort of like that while holding like a big cup of coffee. So yeah, it's a problem. Because for example, I could reach down now. Well, what have we got? A Spaziani. Okay, let's chuck that to the top of the pile. French M51 on the floor there. Let's put that on my head. Why not? Yeah, I'm afraid I don't really know Maxim off the top of my head, I'm afraid. Not trying to like dismiss what you're saying. I'm just saying without really seeing the bit you mean. And again, some parts are quite hard to replace even on some masks, depending on how they're attached. Because some masks sadly have parts on them that if they break, basically the whole mask is fucked. It's not like a replaceable part. Yeah, so like I said, unless you can maybe bend it back into shape with pliers or something, I don't know about seeing it.
In the meantime, I ask for your understanding, your patience, and your continued support. Together, we can build a safer digital environment.
Why is Starmer randomly talking? Did anybody else hear that? I swear I heard Starmer's voice, like, even though I didn't click play on anything. But because I was playing this earlier, but that wasn't the thing I was playing. I'll just put this back here so you can maybe hear it, like the Rent Boy thing I was spamming earlier. Hang on. I'll play a bit of it again just because I thought it was quite funny. Actually, the better version was the one I think I sent some other people. Where's that one? Is that not in my Starmer folder? Is that somewhere else? Maybe that was in the other thing. Hang on. So, let me just find it. So I want to go to home, voice box. Data, generations, and it was one of these. Is it this one?
My fellow Brits, good afternoon. I stand before you today as a man of principle, a man of integrity, and most importantly, a man whose back door has been officially declared a crime scene. Let me address the verdict directly. The court has found those Ukrainian gentlemen guilty of arson. I welcome the decision. Justice has been served. Their fiery assault on my rear entrance was unacceptable, and I condemn their actions in the strongest possible terms. However, let me be crystal clear, as I have been from the very beginning. This had nothing, I repeat, nothing to do with gay sex. These were not rent boys. They were highly trained operatives, professionals with very large invoices. Where's a toolmaker, my dad? Yes, they may have entered through my back door on multiple occasions that evening, but that was simply the most discreet access point when the front was locked for security reasons. Anyone suggesting they were there to give my rear end a proper seeing to is peddling disgusting homophobic conspiracy theories. The truth remains simple. This was Putin. Vladimir Putin, that bare-chested horseback-riding menace, has once again thrust his long meddling influence into British affairs. He sent those Ukrainian gentlemen who were merely delivering traditional Eastern European hospitality in the form of several large flaming shafts straight to my back passage. Why? Because he hates democracy. He hates Britain. When he clearly cannot stand the idea of a man enjoying a quiet night in with a group of athletic young fellows who really know how to handle their tools. I was not, as has been maliciously alleged, taking it hard from behind while the missus was away. I was working late on NHS waiting lists. The only pounding I received that night was from the relentless pressure of high office. The fact that several well-built Ukrainian gentlemen were seen entering and exiting my rear entrance in quick succession was purely coincidental.
I won't play all of it now. I'll stick it on my Patreon for people to enjoy. Yeah, he definitely made a massive tool, didn't he? A bit of a defective one. I don't think he's a very good tool maker. Yeah, no, I can't fucking get over that. And like I said, I made that fake audio of him before the fucking thing came out where they've blamed it on Putin. And of course they've blamed it on Putin. And it's outright malicious right-wing lies to say it's anything to do with rent boys. They weren't rent boys. One of them was a builder, not a model that was on Grindr. Or like whatever it was. Yeah, they went in and out his back door in quick succession. Blaze Militarian. They arsoned his back door. Again, I don't think they even did arson the back door. I think it was the front door. But that's the joke everybody kept making at the time. It was like, if you saw the state of the arson on his front door, wait till you see his back entrance. That really got a pounding. Yeah, exactly, CLK Bateman. That's what I based it off of. Yeah, that thing of, yeah, I was reaching for a Murray Mint when a part of his body accidentally entered mine. Yes. I don't know if I can remember that Simpson sketch, but yeah. Like I said, this is the problem. Like, again, the Russians fuck with a lot of stuff in Western democracies. That's kind of their, modus operandi. Yeah, again, and he also threw his son under the bus, because you remember when he got in trouble for having that flat with Lord Ali? And it was like during COVID, and he was like, oh, but it was actually, I rented the flat for my son, so my son could study for his GCSEs without being interrupted. So it's like, yeah, fucking throw your son under the bus, Kia, because, like, you were probably enjoying Lord Ali in that flat. And it's like, no, it's the fault of my son, basically. Just like it's the fault of everybody else. Oh, Simpsons movie. I can't remember. Again, I haven't seen the Simpsons movie in a while. I remember they put the dome over Springfield and there's Spider Pig. All right, cool. See you, Maxim. But yeah, my father was a tool maker. He does remind me a bit of Davros or a Dalek, how he speaks. You know, you will be exterminated. Well, he's a Fabian member, Saint, which is worse. But yeah, it is, again, the problem is, like I said, even though the Russians do a lot of fucking with Western democracies, it is the boy who cried wolf of Russia, because where they, for years, blamed Russia for everything, a lot of the time now you're like, yeah, is it really the Russians, though, or is that just an easy excuse? According to the media polls, the public overwhelmingly support it, but I don't know if they do. No, I don't. Like I said, I don't remember the Simpsons movie very well, in all honesty. I remember more just like the old series, like the Mr. Burns laughing what stop. I was like, what was I laughing at again? Oh yes, the crippled Irishman, like that sort of stuff. I can remember like Mr. Burns just laughing non-stop and like lots of things from the old series. Because again, I sometimes just have those fits of laughter where I'm like laughing non-stop really hard. Oh, what was I laughing at the other week? Oh yeah, it was when I was getting ChatGPT to talk about Chinese X-ray cameras. And I was like, theoretically, what if somebody thought it was a toy and kept taking pictures of it? And I was just like trying really hard not to laugh in public. Where I just kept thinking back of it, and it's like, well, that could be very dangerous. But yeah, theoretically, what if a kid got hold of one? Oh, because it's bright colours and looks like a toy. No, it's funny. It's not funny, it's funny. Oh, yeah. Yeah, again, Saint people kept saying that you can stop an oil tanker but not a single dinghy. Oh, yeah, cheers, Robot Man, sorry. But yeah, also another thing regarding that is Labour were boasting how no dinghies came over last week, and it's because they've stopped them. It's like, no, it's because the weather was fucking terrible, and they'd have drowned. That's why. Yeah, so they're taking credit for shit weather now. I think the Tories did the same thing at one point, didn't they, as well? I didn't remove it, MP Love. I didn't remove any questions on that, so it just didn't show up. If you can somehow try and ask it now, I can answer it for you now. Yeah, so, yeah, again, it's because YouTube just bans loads of comments annoyingly now. And, yeah, I only ever saw 6 on there, and it was 6 when I read them out the other day. So you typed something YouTube didn't like, so it banished your comment to the shadow ban realm, where, you know, it might show up to you that the comment's been made, but for everyone else, it just doesn't show up. Because they do that non-stop on these live streams. If people put words in YouTube doesn't like. Except the Boris wave, Saint, and he shall not be forgiven for the Boris wave. Like 3 fucking years, Robot Man, unless they oust him. And it's looking less likely now that they're going to actually manage to oust him, and he's just going to stay there, crushing the country with no survivors. It'll be extremely painful for you. But yeah, no, I think we've got Kia till the bitter end. I don't think we can get rid of him. It's like a cosmic joke. Yeah, so Boris can't be forgiven for the Boris wave, Saint, because he let in over 4 million dodgy immigrants to lower the price of wages for big companies. Yeah, exactly. As Jake says, it's to make it look like to you it's still there. A good way of testing if you can see the comment or not is write the comment and post it, then open an incognito tab and go to that web page. Because you'll see, if you open the incognito tab where you're not logged in and your comment's there, it's been posted. If the comment's not there, YouTube's deleted it. That's the way I test sometimes when I leave a comment and nobody's replied to it on something, you know, or I think they would. I check incognito. And then, like, you know, I can find out if my own comment's been deleted or not. Yeah, when they keep saying you're destroying the party, you need to leave, Robot Botman. He just goes, no, I don't think I will. Yeah, you want to get off Mr. Starmer's wild ride. I think I made a picture of that a while ago. Let me make it again. So let me get Mr. Bones' wild ride meme. Let me get that up. 1 second. Don't forget you're here forever. Yeah. Yeah, so let me look, because I can't, because Google's in a shit job with it. I have to ask Grok, because ChatGPT won't like me asking for political memes. So, make a version of the Mr. Bones Wild Ride meme, but with Keir Starmer as Mr. Bones. I want to get off of Mr. Starmer's Wild Ride. Let's see if it can make this. Okay, I didn't even know that. It's even easier, Jay, to do it that way. Let's see if Grok can do this. I have got a Mr. Bones Wild Ride t-shirt somewhere. I haven't seen it in ages. It's probably in a washing pile, like a clean washing laundry pile, buried. But I did buy a Mr. Bones Wild Ride shirt because I like that meme. But that isn't exactly what I wanted, but this kind of works. Yeah, I kind of. I want to get off Mr. Starmer's Wild Ride. I think that kind of works. Let me get the chat back up on the other window. No, I didn't. I heard PewDiePie had been doing stuff recently that was like the complete opposite of his like old like streamer type videos. But I haven't looked at PewDiePie stuff in years, in all honesty. I didn't ever really like religiously watch him or anything. Like he was one of those people like, oh, I'm glad he did well with subscribers and that, and he seems like an all right person in real life. But I hadn't actually, you know, really followed up on a lot of his videos. It was called Doggerland, or did people go dogging in Doggerland? Oh, he switched to Linux as well. Good on him. Everybody's switching to Linux now, aren't they, to get away from fucking Microsoft? Yeah, the unflushable, the ride never ever ends. You're going to love it or else. You can't say no or else you're going to prison. I'm going to download that, though. I do quite like that. I do quite like how it's a skeleton, but it still looks like Starmer. Yeah, let's make some more Grok memes, because Grok doesn't censor you from doing stuff like this, unlike ChatGPT. So we must ban it, fucking Grok. Rolling right-wing fuggery. Again, that does look like Starmer. Again, I don't know why, because it's just a skeleton with some hair on. Hang on. It does look uncannily like Starmer, doesn't it? Okay, well, again, it's interesting, but, you know, we're separated from them now, aren't we? But, yeah, again, a lot of the, obviously, land mass, you can see where countries are broken off from things, can't you, judging by the shape of them? Yeah, Saint, if you want, like I said, Linux Mint or Linux Mint's really good. I did a video on it. How did he capture his dead soulless eyes so well? Exactly. But yeah, no, Linux Mint is great if you want to learn Linux on a thing that works like Windows. Like I said, I really like Mint. Like I said, if I just minimize that, like I said, it's going to look a bit shit because I'm just doing it on the thing. Like I said, Mint's great because of how much it's just like, you know, the Windows operating system. You know, it works the way you expect Windows to work. So, yeah, I like Linux Mint a lot. There's a couple of things that are a bit annoying on it. And, you know, things if you're really used to Windows, how they work on Linux, like where you have to figure out how they work differently is a bit annoying. But overall, it's not bloated spyware and my PC runs well. And my dad can actually use his PC at reasonable speeds with Linux installed. So yeah, I did a video on it. Look it up, Linux Mint Cinnamon. There's lots of videos people have done of like how to install it and all that, you know, like verify you've got a secure version of it that people haven't fucked with and all that stuff. But yeah, Linux Mint has its own software thing. which you can install loads of like Linux versions of programs on. Like, so Steam has a version in there, like Software Manager, so you can install the Linux build of Steam properly. And then, yeah, I'm using Chrome, although a lot of people don't like Chrome. It comes with Firefox by default. But yeah, it's like I said, Mint is great because it functionally works like a Windows system. Everything's kind of in the same place, so you don't need to relearn, you know, how everything works. Linux doesn't really need an antivirus, so well, I should have been able to dual boot, but Windows just had a fucking screw up, which is why I decided then I wasn't going to carry on with Windows. Get Brave. Yeah, I've heard Brave's good. I'll look into that later. Able to scroll up on Chrome browser by going to advanced settings, thanks. But yeah, I'll have to look into Brave because a load of people keep recommending it. So yeah, my dad can dual boot fine, and I install it the same way on both systems. But on my PC, for whatever reason, Windows 10 threw a shit fit when I installed it on dual boot and didn't want to launch without me reinstalling Windows. So I just loaded up Linux, cut and paste all of my documents into the Linux folders, and then just deleted all my Windows shit off the drive because, you know, where it was refusing to dual boot, I was like, right, fuck you then, Windows. I'm just all in on Linux now. Yeah, I'll look up ClamAV, because like I said, I do want an antivirus for this, but I know a lot of people are sort of saying you don't really need one for Linux. It's mostly like you're mostly vulnerable. Yeah, there we go, ClamAV, right, installing that now. Thank you. But yeah, like I was saying regarding Linux, is loads of people were saying that, yeah, it's mostly you want the antivirus, people are going, oh, did you see about them? Like, we're talking about it on stream. We're talking about the backdoor pirates on stream. But yeah, but like I said, like, because I kind of still want an antivirus. So obviously, I've got a firewall on here. But yeah, a lot of people are saying with Linux, it's like you more only really need an antivirus when you run EXEs or anything through Wine, because like it's still EXEs at the vulnerable part. But yeah, I would feel more comfortable having an antivirus. But yeah, so that's installing. Thomas the Tank Engine. Right, so is that finished installing it now? ClamAV. Okay, so now ClamAV is installed. Do I need to do anything with it? Because it says it just runs through the control, like, you know, when you do Control P to open the terminal. Anyway, that's installed. I'll look properly into ClamAV a bit later anyway, but it's installed now. Right, going back to the thing. Oh, that's cool. So, yeah, it would have been originally like a big... I see what you mean. Yeah, so... It's like there was a thing at like lower depths, if you like a big valley kind of thing. Oh, so the ancient Britons had a zombie knife. See, they're part of our cultural heritage. No, I have no idea what that is, 666 yet. So you have to enlighten me because no, I don't know what that is. Well, that's the thing with science, is it's only correct until somebody finds something better. Because the whole thing with science, isn't it, is that basically there's a great expression about science to do with that. About you know, like you're not certain of anything or whatever it is. Again, I can't remember what it is, but that's the whole point with science, is that generally you now and again learn things where old science seems kind of broken. Because, again, we kind of come to the best understanding of the way the world works as science. But that doesn't mean we fully understand it. And that's like the thing I keep saying to people about stuff like ghosts and whatever, is it might turn out a bit like ionizing radiation. There is some sort of weird energy that's, like, deposited somewhere by, like, living and dead people or whatever that leads to, like, supernatural stuff. It's just some energy we can't understand yet with the sort of tools we've got. I'm going to nationalise Sodor Railway, and then we're going to melt down all of the horrible steam engines and replace them with electric engines I bought from China. Thomas is a right-wing thug, and I'm going to have his face taken away with a blowtorch, said Kia. I'm trying to think now, if Starmer was in Thomas the Tank Engine, what would it be like? He'd be, rather than Fat Controller, he'd be just something wanker, wouldn't he? I have seen a thing, 666 Jet, and I don't know if it's that, but I did see where people using radios were able to like run a Discord type program on it, and it took a while to send data, but you could essentially via encrypted radio send data like you were using the internet. It was just very slow. Yeah, exactly the same. And then sometimes we learn later on that our science stuff is kind of like understanding things wrong. A good example of that is miasma. Like where, because again, when people keep going on to me about plague doctors' masks, I have to explain to what miasma theory was. That people basically, before they knew what germs were, knew that you could have like bad air. So they basically thought that if you had bad air, it was bad air that made you ill, not the germs and whatever. So they kind of had preventative medicine in the sense that, you know, they knew not to stick around dead bodies because they thought they gave off bad air. They didn't understand about all the germs and bacteria and stuff like that. But the miasma theory was close enough to being right that it made sense for ages and you could base other theories off of it. And then when people like Lister said, no, there's germs and microbes and stuff like that, they were laughed at, but they were the people that then, you know, were known later to be right. Yeah, again, I like Linux stuff that's just very minimal. I feel like I said, where, you know, you don't have much of an interface and it just runs in the background. Yes, buggery, yeah. Right-wing thuggery makes me want some rent boy buggery. Yeah. Accusations of rent boy buggery is right-wing thuggery. Yeah, because we can't forget that the far right, when he sees them marching with their England flags, gives him a bit of a semi. Yeah, I'll probably stream tomorrow. Don't see why not. I'm not planning on doing anything other than my normal boring shit tomorrow of like filming stuff and, you know, doing YouTube and whatever. Because like I said, until I've got the last thing where a friend's coming around on holiday in a couple of weeks and like I'm making my bed up so he can have my bed with fresh sheets and then I need to get an air mattress and use an air mattress to sleep in a different room. Until after he's been round, then I can start properly job searching because there's not anything else I've got on. You know, I'm also looking after the house that week because my parents are on holiday. But, yeah, it should be on tomorrow. Don't see why not. Yeah. I said, at the moment, it's only really if stuff comes up that, you know, I have any plans. At the moment, every day is wake up, make coffee, look at the news, film some YouTube stuff, do a stream, then sometimes do a stream later in the day, you know, play some video games. Hope my stuff sells on eBay, and it doesn't at the moment, even though I keep dropping the prices. When some stuff sells, I can list some more stuff. But yeah, that's basically my life at the moment. Like Tiny Wall's thing like that, I feel packed up. Tiny Wall was a Windows firewall I used to really like for Windows, because Tiny Wall was one of those ones where, by default, I think it blocked everything until you manually allowed it through, which I really liked. And Tiny Wall was like, you know, barely got in the way. I think it didn't use much memory or whatever, so that was like a good firewall for Windows, Tiny Wall. But yeah, like I said, in general, yeah, but like I said, I'm liking Linux a hell of a lot, to be honest, or Linux, however it's pronounced, I still don't know. I'm going to ask Grok. How is Linux pronounced? Breakdown. Like the word lin or linen. Nux. Ducks. Oh, so it is Linux, according to that. It's not Linux, as in you're saying line, or Linux. So it is Linux, okay. According to Grok anyway, but it could be, the AI could be hallucinating there. So Linux, right. Because again, I never saw if it was Linux or Linux, but I'm just going to call it Linux now, like linen. And Kayla Babel says, I don't read anything the BBC tells me. They said 2 men convicted of arson. They always drift the truth or straight up lie. The fact they were his rent boys going for revenge. Yeah, and like I said, I made a joke thing up earlier about him going, oh, it was Putin. Putin sent them round to arson me. It's all a conspiracy by him. And now they're saying that. I'll play a bit of the audio again, shall I? Because I know you people, you sick people enjoy this sort of stuff.
My fellow Brits, good afternoon. I stand before you today as a man of principle, a man of integrity, and most importantly, a man whose back door has been officially declared a crime scene. Let me address the verdict directly. The court has found those Ukrainian gentlemen guilty of arson. I welcome the decision. Justice has been served. Their fiery assault on my rear entrance was unacceptable, and I condemn their actions in the strongest possible terms. However, let me be crystal clear, as I have been from the very beginning. This had nothing, I repeat, nothing to do with gay sex. These were not rent boys. They were highly trained operatives, professionals with very large invoices. Where's a toolmaker? My dad. Yes, they may have
so
entered
just to
through
pause that for Giovanni. Filters are typically some sort of like modern ones are paper heaper filters. You've got a paper heaper filter at the bottom. Then you've got like a mesh to stop the paper bit falling out or whatever. Then you've got the activated charcoal layer. And then you've got at the very top some sort of cottony type layer or whatever else to stop you breathing in the charcoal, essentially.
Back door on multiple occasions that evening, but that was simply the most discreet access point when the front was locked for security reasons. Anyone suggesting they were there to give my rear end a proper seeing to is peddling disgusting homophobic conspiracy
try
theories.
one of these again and see if
the
I
truth
can
remains
do it
simple.
properly this time.
This was Putin. Vladimir Putin, that bare-chested horseback-riding menace, has once again thrust his long meddling influence into British affairs. He sent those Ukrainian gentlemen who were merely delivering traditional Eastern European hospitality in the form of several large flaming shafts straight to my back passage. Why? Because he hates democracy. He hates Britain. When he clearly cannot stand the idea of a man enjoying a quiet night in with a group of athletic young fellows who really know how to handle their tools. I was not, as has been maliciously alleged, taking it hard from behind while the missus was away. I was working late on NHS waiting lists. The only pounding I received that night was from the relentless pressure of high office. The fact that several well-built Ukrainian gentlemen were seen entering and exiting my rear entrance in quick succession was purely coincidental. They were simply checking the structural integrity of their equipment. Repeatedly and enthusiastically, and the moaning the neighbours heard. That was me in pain. From the arson, not from anything else. The cries of, oh God, it's so big and hot, and da, da, harder, comrades, were entirely related to the flames. Obviously, let us be absolutely clear. I have never paid for rough back alley action with Eastern European rent boys. I have never bent over in my own garden and taken it like a champion from a whole gang of them. Those are filthy, Putin-aligned smears. This was a state-sponsored attack on the very fabric of our democracy. Specifically,
even the 4MG seem pretty strong compared to these 4MG ones.
Policy has always been firm, responsible, and strictly above board. The suggestion that I let those Ukrainian lads give it the full Cossack treatment is not only offensive, but frankly envious. Now that the court has delivered its verdict, I will be launching a full independent inquiry
so I'm not ready
led
for
by
those
someone
yet.
very trustworthy who definitely won't mention the lube to examine how Putin was able to radicalize these poor young men into targeting my rear entrance. So precisely. In the meantime, I ask for your continued understanding, patience, and a little discretion. And if any representatives of the Ukrainian Gentlemen's Escort Service are watching, the insurance assessors have already been round, so perhaps we can keep the receipts between us. God save the king. And please, for the love of God, let us finally put out the flames on my reputation. Thank you.
Well, I think the Prime Minister's spoken. There was nothing to see there, was there? It was Vladimir Putin, and it definitely wasn't gay backdoor sex. Yeah, these are quite annoying to try and talk while you've got them in your mouth. That's the thing, because when I'm talking, it's making my throat quite, like itchy in a sense. But when I'm not talking, they're fine. So yeah, I'll probably have to do these when I'm not actually talking. And also, it probably makes me talk a bit weird. So yeah, I've got that one out there at the moment. So yeah, I'll be off fairly soon. Because like I said, second stream for today. I'll shill my Patreon again, because I'm going to post Keir Starmer's statement on my Patreon. So that's my Patreon. And I find the tab again for the live stream. No, I'm not necessarily trying to up it. It's because I didn't know what strengths I'd like. So I just ordered a mix of strengths. And because these weak ones already feel quite strong, I probably won't want to go beyond that. But because they did some buy one, get one free offers and that, I thought I might as well try a couple of different flavors and different strengths. So I'm not trying to up my nicotine usage, essentially. It's just that basically I was just curious what the different types were like. But yeah, my father was a pool maker. Ooh, hiccups. Oh yeah, I forgot nicotine sometimes does that. So let me do a free post on Patreon for all of you to see. You don't have to be a paying member. Let's create the post. And we want to, how do I attach a file? Audio, there we go. Media guidelines. Oh, let's read this. 12 hours max. Oh, the guidelines are just the type of audio file. Good, not what the audio can contain. I was a bit worried then. Just let me check I'm uploading the right one. I think, oh yeah, no, it's that one. I know which one it is. Hang on. Don't even need that one. Yep. So yeah, I'm just sticking that on my Patreon. Sorry, let me go back to the chat. So Giovanni says, I have a question. What type of gas mask should I use, like an old surplus one? Just don't use old filters with them. Old surplus ones are fine as long as the rubber's in good condition. Just don't use dodgy old filters. Yeah, they're like the old like metal gum tins when you used to get those, even though these are plastic. But yeah, they are good for storing, like I agree with you, storing like little screws or something, yeah. Right, let me just call title. And then I'll put the BBC article underneath so random people know what it's about. Where's my Patreon tab gone? There it is. The problem with nicotine when you're streaming is nicotine makes you want to go and have a shit because it's a laxative. Got it. Okay. And I'll put this as a free access thing, so anyone with access, allow comments, publish.
My fellow Brits, good afternoon. I stand before you today as a man of principle, a man of integrity, and most importantly, a man whose backdoor has been officially declared crime scene.
Yeah, there we go. So if you join my Patreon, even as a free, yeah, well, I'll do it as soon as I finish the stream. But yeah, like I said, so yeah, if you join my Patreon, even as a free person, if I just add any bits that are a bit too spicy for YouTube, like these potentially, I'll just stick them on my Patreon as just little bonuses for people. But like I said, if people do want to subscribe to me on Patreon, I'd really appreciate that. I mean, any donations anybody sends using any platform, I like. It's the nice thing of Patreon is that you can instantly cash it out, which I can't do with so many other platforms, which is a bit annoying. Oh, and Nick Dixon's made a post. I'll read that a bit later because I quite like Nick Dixon's stuff. I'm subscribed to him on Substack. He's a comedian that's quite red-pilled. Let me link to it, Caleb. My dad mostly sells CDs on it, but I've got a couple of bits for sale on there. Oh, and as and when I sell things, I'll list them on here. So I've got a gas mask and a Geiger counter on there at the moment. Let me find the tab again. What's ATAC? I don't know what that is. I know what LoRa's are in terms of AI. If anybody wondered what AI I used to do that, because it's not censored, it's VoiceBox, which you can get on Linux. Don't know if you can get on Windows. It's like an open source one. If you've got a decent GPU, you can render the voices yourself. Because 11 Labs torpedoed their own service, because everybody used to use 11 Labs for doing AI voice generations. And then 11 Labs is like, oh no, you have to have the person's permission to clone their voice. Like, well, fuck you then. Your service is completely useless now. What do you mean by... Oh, you're going to rewrite your message, I guess. Yeah, you typed it a bit wrong. Do you mean triangular lenses? I'll wait for... Before I go off, I'll wait for Giovanni to type his message in. But yeah, if people want to bookmark that eBay, then when stuff goes on there that might be of interest to them, it'll be on there. Like I said, a couple of my mates have got some items of mine that they've basically said, you know, when they get the money for it, can I just keep those items on hold for them? So I'm doing that. One of my mates, when he's visiting, like I said, next month, basically wants to look through all my surplus and just find shit to buy. And I was like, yeah, if you want to dig through it, that's your own problem. Cheers, yeah. So at the moment, I did drop the price again the other day. So there's the DP60, not DP66, DP5A on there at the moment. That's quite expensive because it works and it's a DP5A, which is the rarer of the Soviet DP5 series. But, you know, you can still measure radiation with it. And the Scott Pro mask, whatever it is, like the M98 without the drinking tube, with its finished civil defense box, that's also for sale on there. Yeah, but again, like I said, the problem is I'm using my dad's eBay page because I'm not making my own, just for listing a couple of items. But again, if you sort by price highest to lowest, they show up before the CDs. But again, if you search the items on eBay, they still turn up in eBay searches. The Mark 7 helmet sold really quickly. That sold within a day of me putting it up there, the Mark 7. I put that on for only 50 quid, but at least it sold within a day, the Mark 7 ballistic helmet. Oh, that's interesting, 666, yeah. So yeah, we're just waiting for Giovanni to retype his comment, then I'll go off. But yeah, it's definitely better putting it in that part of my mouth than when I put it up there and it was like really irritating my throat. That gives you quite a nice buzz, these. All right, Daniel. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I probably won't be on too much longer though. I've got quite a lot of master triangular lenses. Are you on about like what ones would be good to get? Finish M61s are pretty cool. Sometimes you can even get the ones made by Nokia. They're basically better versions of the American M9 gas masks. Again, I think PMKs are a bit crap, but they have triangular lenses. USM40 has triangular lenses and it's pretty cool. You know, like the Half-Life, what are they called? The HEQ Marines. USM40s. I've got the second skin for this, but I like the look of it without the second skin on. What's the best Czech gas mask? Out of, like, the modern ones or the old commie era ones? Out of the commie era ones, I really like the CM4, which is like kind of a rip-off of the Draeger M65 style mask. But annoyingly with mine, it doesn't make a good face seal to my face, but it is a pretty good mask. Not a massive fan of the M10 because it's a cheap filter mask. The CM3 is alright, but very basic. Like, the OM90 is okay, but not for the prices like Myra and companies like that charge for it. I don't have any other modern Czech masks, so I can't tell you how good they are. Oh, modern. Again, the OM90 is okay, not great, not terrible. Okay, I might have a look at that at some point, 666, yeah. What era do you mean by vintage? Because anything that isn't technically current gen could be considered vintage. So how far back do you want to go in terms of being vintage? And then I'll tell you. Because again, are we on about, what, World War II? Like 1950s, 1960s, or like early 2000s? Because like a mask like this is pretty damn good. But this is from 1992, but the military version is still in service and still being made. the skied mask 90 or whatever it's called in Sweden. The Forshida F2. Again, this I was trying. Again, I think this mask looks pretty damn cool. It's very comfy, this mask as well. But yeah, if you want something that's pretty cool and classic and that's still affordable, get a Finish M61. There's 60mm filters, but you can get proper 60 to 40mm connectors, like not 3D printed things, but like properly military made things. And they're all right masks. There's one up on my wall there. I have to get the camera angle right so I don't accidentally show a gun on the stream. But there you go. That mask there. That's a Finish M9. Sorry, Finish M61, the 3rd generation one, with the voice diaphragm style XL valve on it. You can also, the Serbs also did a variant of that. But yeah, I'll be off in a minute then. So, yeah. I don't know in Slovakia because I'm not in Slovakia. Like, again, if you can buy from China, MF14s are really good for how cheap they are. I did a video recently on the MF14, not many people watched. Oh, it's a bit out of reach where my MF14 is, but the Chinese MF14 is, you can buy pretty much from anywhere. It takes 40mm NATO filters, and it's a pretty good, you know, not industrial. Although, I mean, the MF14 is both industrial and civil defense, I'm saying that. But you can buy probably Chinese FMJ05s or FMJ08s pretty cheaply. Which particular master of the French one? They had the M51 for years. The ARFA is the shit French one that falls apart. Yeah, I haven't been on them in a while. Actually, I did catch one fairly recently, Caleb. I used to go on them all the time. Then for ages when I was doing the job I used to do recently, for the last few years, I wasn't able to do them because I worked very early Saturday and Sunday. So I couldn't really stay up late on a Friday or Saturday night. I was, you know, Friday and Saturday night, I went to bed quite early to be getting up at like before 6 a.m. The blue one for civilians. Blue mask for civilians. I'm trying to think what you mean by that one. I can't think of a blue mask for civilians the French made. Unless I'm just being really dumb. So they used the M51 and M53 throughout most of the Cold War. And then they had the ARFA up until recently. I have the Spaziani Italian mask that's nice, which is blue. If you're on about this one. This is Italian. This mask Italian, not the French. Mamma mia, you say this is a French mask? How dare you? This is made in Italy. Spaziani. You on about this one? Yeah, this is Italian. It's a Spaziani. Is it TR2002? I wonder if they still sell them. But that's quite a good mask, actually. There's a Spaziani TR62 for sale, which is a bit different. Yeah, sadly, only the Spaziani filters are for sale at the moment. Not the actual masks. Oh wait, for 107 quid, is that guy... Is this just the filters, or is he selling a mask with it? Oh no, this person's just selling the filters, never mind them. But yeah, if somebody is selling for 60 quid the Italian military mask, the whatever it's called, 90, hang on, the M90, which is also very similar to the Spaziani, although it's not got a panoramic lens, and you can't use it without a filter or you'll suffocate, because it's got a weird filter port where when you loosen the filter, it shuts the intake valve. That's quite a good price for one. I think that's less than I paid for mine, and that's got the bag and everything with it. I don't think mine had a bag. I think it came with a mask and a filter, but oh, never mind, it's got a rip in the bottom of the mask, that one, so it's probably no good. I mean, you could maybe fill that up with, like, rubber cement, but yeah, there's a hole in the bottom of that mask and a few cracks, so yeah, maybe not. But yes, I don't think anyone got the Spaziani for sale now. I did buy one of these for weapon collector for him to use in his man cave when he do the sanding. To the mask. Yeah, Kevin, exactly. Again, that was my main complaint with Metro, was just how crap the filter life is, especially because it's only really being used against like irradiated dust or whatever it is, as opposed to well, I suppose in some places in the game there are chemicals, aren't there? But yeah, in real life, filters, masks would be pretty damn useless if the filters only last 10 minutes. Imagine a mask like the M17 if your filters ran out in 10 minutes. That would be very bad. Anyway, I'll be off in a minute, so thanks for coming on, everyone. Jamal, again, you'd have to probably get the optical inserts, but like I said, if you ever have an old pair of glasses, take the arms off them, and then you can literally just mount them into a mask somehow, like either with a bit of glue or whatever, and you can just do that if you've got an old pair of glasses you don't need anymore. That's the easiest way of doing it if you don't want to buy an expensive spectacle kit for a specific mask. Because, yeah, that way, there's nothing breaking the seal of the mask, and you can just, like, pinch the glasses in place behind the nose cup or whatever, and, you know, they're fine for when you wear it until you take it off, then you'd have to reseat them if you don't glue them in. That's what I do with my C50. But they're good for the entire time you've got the mask on, because when the mask's on, they can't fall out of place because they're like being pinched against the mask by your nose, like with the oral nasal cup. So they literally can't move when they're in the mask that way. But yes, I see you, everybody. You have a good day, yeah? I see you tomorrow. I'm not aware of the Spaziani. Yeah, again, 666. Yeah, I just did it with an old pair of glasses that weren't quite the right prescription for me anymore. So basically, you know, because I know you can get specs done online. That is a good point, actually, saying that. But yeah, obviously, if you're like me and you've got an old pair of glasses where they're like not quite the right prescription for you anymore, so you wouldn't really wear them. That's why I did it with an old pair of glasses, because I'd get a headache if I wear them for too long, but I can still read like small text at a distance with them. So I've got my like proper glasses for everyday use, and then my older glasses, I took the arms off, you know, so they can sit in a mask and be used that way. But yeah, like you said, getting a cheap prescription pair online might be another good option for people, and then just take the arms off of those. What they used to do in World War II as well was get glasses like this, but then they had elastic rather than the arms on them, you know, like an elastic headband. And that apparently didn't break the seal with the masks either, because it was elastic, as opposed to like being a bit of plastic poking out the side of the mask. I mean, actually, if you were running a mask with a PAPR system, you could probably wear them with glasses like this, because the little bit around there where there's a bit of a gap won't cause an issue that way. But yeah, you probably want, like, you know how diving goggles work, the rubber strap? You could probably do a similar thing to that. Because, you know, that way the mask seals properly with the rubber, and it doesn't break the seal. But obviously, if you've got a bit of plastic or whatever sticking out, the rubber sort of, you know, has a little gap each side of the thing, which is why you can't do them. Because when you breathe in, the air will flow through there because it's the path of least resistance. That's not gum. Kind of reminds me of chewing gum, the way you spit those out and do that. But yeah. Yeah, like, so for the people who recommended these, yeah, the wheat philos are quite nice. Like I said, I think, unfortunately, some of the ones I've got are probably going to be too strong, but could always give them to a mate that smokes, see if they like them. But yeah, people are right. Those things are quite handy to just pop in your mouth and get a bit of a nicotine buzz. Anyway, like I said, I'll be off now. So catch you guys tomorrow. Don't forget about my Patreon. I've put the Keir Starmer thing on there now. I've got another one I ought to upload to there in a couple of days about Starmer's thing about banning X and everything, but allowing Blue Sky to still be allowed on. Yeah, again, that's the thing I like during COVID, thanks to it, was when people were interested in gas masks, I got loads of views and money as well. But again, spend all that now. But yeah, it was mostly the fact that, yeah, you could go out with a gas mask in public properly during COVID and nobody would call you a weirdo for doing it. So sometimes it was more like, what gas mask do I want to wear to the shops today kind of thing, just because it was a bit of fun. Like, you know, what mask will I wear today? Because technically nobody can call me a fucking freak for wearing a gas mask now. Be like that guy in, oh, what's the film? Is it Contagion or Pandemic or something it's called? where there's a guy who has like the massive inflatable suit he's just wearing around, putting like flyers on people's cars. I think it's a Matt Damon film, isn't it? I think. Is it Jude Law that's doing that in the film? I'm pretty sure it's Jude Law. He has like this big inflatable NBC suit thing on. Yeah, he probably thought he was going to get robbed, or that it was an alien abduction type thing. And so he was probably quite surprised when you actually gave him money rather than whipping out like a gun or a knife. Yeah, again, I do not like the feeling of nicotine sickness, so I would not want to do that. But yeah, but yeah, again, I suppose you get a bit of an adrenaline rush from it or whatever, don't you? Yeah, that's the weird thing with nicotine. So it's a stimulant technically, isn't it, nicotine? But sometimes nicotine makes me feel really sleepy. It's one of those things sometimes where I've got a bit of insomnia, if it's not like really, really bad insomnia. I can use like one of those nicotine lozenge things, like I said, like these type, and sometimes just suck on that. And by the time, you know, I've nearly finished it, I'm actually really tired. But sometimes nicotine keeps me quite alert, like I've had a coffee and I'm able to focus on stuff. And other times it makes me feel quite sleepy. So I don't really get how that works with nicotine. But nicotine's one of the really weird drugs that's both an upper and a downer at the same time, isn't it? Where like most drugs are either uppers or downers. I think nicotine does a bit of both. Again, that's the weird thing when I've done like vapes and things like that, is sometimes I can take, I think it's probably a bit like alcohol, it depends like how much you've eaten maybe. But like, yeah, sometimes I can, you know, have like one thing that shouldn't really affect me and I feel quite buzzed and that. And then other times, yeah, I can, you know, drink or vape loads or whatever and barely feel it affecting me. I think it might be, yeah, like what's in your, like your blood sugar levels and everything else. Yeah, anyway, I've been on 2 hours. I'm going to go off. It's nearly 8 p.m. I will see everybody tomorrow. Don't have your back doors violated by Russian agents. It was Vladimir Putin. Right, see everybody then. Catch you tomorrow's. And don't forget to check out my Patreon. I'll see you, baby. I'll spam the Patreon one more time before going off. Hang on. Even though I think the link's below anyway. So yeah, because again, don't forget you can subscribe for free on this Patreon. So if you just literally wanted to like just follow it for seeing posts on there, that's free anyway. It's just the only thing if you donate is I'm going to do like a monthly Q&A for patrons and YouTube members. Otherwise, it's just a way you can support the channel if you wanted to give me money. Anyway, yep, cool. See everybody. I'll, like I said, should be on tomorrow, I imagine. Don't forget to give the stream a like if you've not liked it before heading off. And catch everyone tomorrow. And I'll also do a video probably on the backdoor thing tomorrow, because that's quite funny, about how it was totally the Russians violating my backdoor and not rent boys who had been scorned. Yeah, so, yeah, catch you all. Right, bye. Bye-bye.